Joe Riley, President of National Drug Screening. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about what we call supervisor training for reasonable suspicion. So in a drug-free workplace program, one of the important components is supervisor training for reasonable suspicion. In Department of Transportation or DOT drug and alcohol testing programs, supervisor training for reasonable suspicion is actually required by regulation. So who has to be trained? The supervisors who supervise safety-sensitive employees are those that are required to be trained for reasonable suspicion determinations. That training is required initially, and then it is suggested that there be reoccurring training, and we recommend perhaps every other year or so. So what's involved with supervisor training for reasonable suspicion determinations? Well, what's involved is number one, an understanding of the company's drug-free workplace policy. Number two, an understanding of the harmful effects of drugs and alcohol in the workplace. Number three, any regulations that apply. And number four, how to make reasonable suspicion determinations when an employee is showing signs and symptoms of possibly being under the influence of illicit drugs or alcohol while working, and that causes an immediate concern, which requires the supervisor to have that employee go for a reasonable suspicion drug and alcohol test. In fact, the supervisor should take that employee for the reasonable suspicion drug and alcohol test because it's now reasonably suspected that that employee might be under the influence. Now, at National Drug Screening, we deliver supervisor training programs to folks that need that service. How do we do that? Well, number one, we can do a live presentation for supervisor training, reasonable suspicion. So we can get together in front of a group of supervisors and we can do a live training. Number two, we can do a webinar training. And today, that's probably a much better solution. And with a webinar training, we could have people anywhere in the country actually logging in to our web service to provide a live webinar training on reasonable suspicion determinations. Number three, you can do remote online computer-based training. So our website for that is www.mydrugtesttraining.com. And on that website, you can register and pay and get your supervisor training for reasonable suspicion. You can do it on your own time schedule. It's a 2-hour course, which is what's required by DOT, and the course will self-generate for you a certificate of completion. So again, 3 ways to get supervisor training: a live training program, a live webinar training program, remote training at www.mydrugtesttraining.com. So if you need assistance, call us or click on our website. We're happy to help you. Always visit our blogs. They provide great information at nationaldrugscreening.com.